Thank you very much. I have to find out who Ken has been talking to. I do every day get up and when I get ready to leave my apartment, I say to the gentleman who sits at the desk, I'm going to do the people's work. That is what I do every day. That is what I do for a living. So I have to find out how you got that tidbit of information. First, I want to thank the Chamber for the invitation to speak to you today. I miss you all. It's you know, when you're away from home as much as I am, you look forward to opportunities to see people that you haven't seen for a while, and I really do miss you all. And it's good to be at home, so I do thank you for having me today. For those of you who were concerned about the caricature in the Plain Dealer today, it is the funniest thing I think I have seen in a long time. So just laugh about it, enjoy it. Because I told the people at my table, I'm going to take it out and frame it and put it in my office so that every time the media comes in and they see it, they'll realize that something that insignificant is not going to upset me. So just laugh about it and understand that that's probably part of the reason this community is where it is, because we have such negative media. You know, I call it the incredible shrinking paper. And so, you know, it's what it is. So just take it for what it is, and we'll be fine, and we're going to move on. Also, if you read about my trip to Cuba, which this was a reference to as well, it is probably the single most important thing that I have done since I have been a member of Congress. No matter what they say, if we in fact are in a new age of diplomacy, then we can't go across the world and reach out to people, and we can't do it to somebody that's sitting in our backyard. I just don't believe that. As well, for too many years, we have separated families. We have denied ourselves the ability to learn about new cultures. We have denied ourselves the ability to help people in need. You know, we talk about that as a part of our creed, as a part of our nation. But we have someone who is 90 miles away from Florida whose people are suffering, and we won't help them. So let's be who we say we are. And if we are that, then I think we're going to move forward in a new relationship. And I'm so very proud of our president who lifted those restrictions on this week, because I think it was the right thing to do. We talk about all of the things that are not allowed in Cuba, most of which, by the way, is not true. But we do treat other countries differently, so I'm happy to have been a part of that group. As well, I want to say to you that when we were there, I had the opportunity to speak at the Latin American School of Medicine. It is a school that brings people from around the country to Cuba, especially some of the poorer nations, the Latin American countries. I want you to know more than half of the students in that school are American. They're from New York, they're from Pittsburgh, they're from Philadelphia, they're from Detroit. And as I talked to them, trying to determine why they were in Cuba going to medical school, a lot of them could not get in medical schools here, or they could not afford medical schools here. And that school in Cuba gives them free education for 6 years, with the caveat that they are required to come back to their communities, and most of them come from poor communities. They are required to come back to their communities and practice medicine in their communities, not in Cuba, here. So you have to look at all of the things that are happening there and not just what we've been told. As well as in this community, as I look at the business people here, it is a wonderful opportunity for us to trade with someone who is so close, because it keeps the cost down. They need many of the things we do right here in Cleveland, and certainly I think it would be a great opportunity for our communities. I'm sitting here and I'm looking at Allen, and you know, Allen, when I was, you know, they had a hurricane there, 2 hurricanes in the last year. Their biggest problem with trying to repair their homes is that they don't have roofing material. I'm looking at people like Forest City who do building everywhere. Just think if we could go in and fix all of the roofs in Cuba just about. What kind of a bit, I think that those opportunities should not be lost, because we have decided to isolate ourselves, even though our attempt was really to isolate Cuba. But now I'm off of that, and I'm going to go on and talk about what I'm supposed to talk about today. I want you to know that as we talk about this American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, this will probably be the last time in our lifetime that we see something like this. Everyone has talked about how big the package is and why is it so big, and we're going to ruin the futures of our children and grandchildren. Had the problem been smaller, the package would have been smaller. What we are dealing with right now in this economy is enormous, and it took an enormous package. And had we not done what we did, our children and grandchildren were going to have a future anyway. So let's be honest and realistic about where we're going in this country economically. If the president and the Congress had not done something to try to stop the bleeding, we were going down a hole that we would never have been able to come out of. So we may not like what we've done, but over years and years of decline in this economy, something had to be done. It had to be done. Because when we started to build a nation that didn't make anything, so, let's think about manufacturing. Look at our own community. Most of our families, at least those of us who have been in this city for a long time, most of our families became middle class through manufacturing of some sort. So once we stopped making anything as a country, how did they expect us to survive? That's why I'm so very concerned about what's happening with the auto industry. We have taken a position that certainly some of these banks are too large to fail, as they say. I'm not so sure about it. But certainly what I do know is that if we start to shut down assembly lines in this country, or even in the state of Ohio, the long-term ramifications are going to be something that we cannot even imagine. Not just because of all the people it will put out of work, and the estimate in the state of Ohio alone is almost 160,000 people. But they want to say to the banks, okay, we're going to give you billions and billions of dollars and then let you give all of these big bonuses and all of the other things that you're doing, but we want to take people who make $30 or $40 an hour, and maybe that's high to a lot of people, and tell them that they can't make that money anymore. We want to tell them that they can't have their retirement benefits anymore. And I say to you that if you work for somebody for 30 years or 40 years, and you have based your entire working career on the fact that you're going to get a retirement benefit, then you deserve it, and we shouldn't take it from you. And you know what, I'm going to get off that too. I'm going to do like Forrest Gump, and that's all I have to say about that.